Greetings viewer, Eric the Car Guy here with another fun-filled episode. This time, let's just do a straight-up parts replacement. What do you say? This is a 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee. A lot of these out there on the road. This one has the 4-liter straight 6, and today it has a starter problem. So I'm just going to go through and replace the starter. If you're curious if you actually have a starter failure, I'm going to post a link down in the description to the starter diagnosis video that I did so that you can find out if you do need a starter. And if you do need a starter and you happen to own a 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 4-liter engine, you're probably going to be looking at this procedure for replacing said starter. So let's just get started.
Now we are fairly lucky in the fact that the starter is in a very good location. It's right there, just south of the oil filter. That's the starter solenoid you see sticking up. So it's a fairly easy part to get to. I'm still going to raise the vehicle and access it from underneath. But step one, we're going to disconnect the battery.
All right, now I did not do this, but my friend accidentally hooked the jumper cables up backwards. Not cool. I believe this is the positive cable. It's traditional to disconnect the negative cable, however, whenever doing this type of work. The only warning that I will throw along with this is if you have a radio that can possibly lock you out, or you need a radio code, make sure you have that before you get started with this. I'm also going to turn that thing to get it out of the way so that I'm sure that it's not going to make contact with the post again. Now I probably could just slide up underneath this thing and without jacking it up and get the starter off. I want a little more room. So I'm going to lift it up, support it with a jack stand, and work with it that way. And since I know someone is going to ask, I am jacking it up right here. And since I'm going to be going in from the side here, I'm just going to slide this right under the axle tube. And I'm just going to release my jack just to the point where it's resting on the jack stand, but I'm still going to leave my jack in place as sort of extra support. Also, it makes it a little bit quicker to get it down when all said and done, but it's now secure, and I'm going to go attack that starter. Before I go crawling under this thing, I always like to wear my safety glasses. That way if any junk falls off the frame or anything under the car, it doesn't go straight into my eye, because for some reason all that junk always ends up in my eye. Enough said. Safety glasses, good idea. Okay, now that we're under the vehicle, here's our starter right here. It's really just held on by 2 fasteners. There's one here that is a 15, I think. It actually feels more like a 14. So there's this one here that is a 14, and then in the back up here is a 15. Before I get that though, what I like to do, disconnect my electrical connections. And with this one, there is this clip right here for the solenoid wire. And if you're doing your testing, this is where you check for your 12-volt signal coming down from the ignition switch or relay or whatever it is that it comes from. This bar that's in the way here might have to come out in order to get the starter all the way out. I'm not excited about the prospect of that, but it looks like there's that fastener there and this fastener up here that I might have to remove in order to get the starter completely out of here. First, I have to get past this plastic clip. I'm being defeated. I can't have that. And I can't beat me in front of all my friends. I think I figured out the reason I'm having such trouble. It's that little red piece there. I gotta pull that back first before I attempt to undo the clip. There we go. I pulled the clip back. Should be able to just... There. Wasn't that simple? Wasn't that simple? Sure it was. Now let's just get that other electrical connection out of the way. I mean, it's right here. Might as well just do it. I believe that one's, I think it's a 12 or 13. It's a 13. Yay. All right, while I'm here, I'm just gonna take the opportunity to take this bolt out of the block, because I'm fairly certain, in case I want to pull it, unless I want to pull the starter up from the top, which I really don't, then I'm going to have to take this off. And it's a 15 millimeter. Simple enough. Well, isn't that nice? It already swung down out of the way for us. So now it's a matter of two fasteners. This one right here and that one right there. I'm gonna get fancy on you with this one. I like that. 15 millimeter. There you go. Now we can do the equally fascinating 14 that's right here. Make sure you support it so you don't drop it on your head or your friend's head or whatever. There we go. Now she'll come right out. There's our prize. Let's go check our new one, see if it's the same. Experience has taught me that it's a real good idea to make the comparison of new and old starter before you get under the vehicle. Before you get it too dirty and the parts guy's mad at you because you're bringing back a greasy starter that did not fit. Just look to see if the mounting areas are the same. They look the same. My key difference on this is where my solenoid wire attaches on this one, whereas it's backwards on this one. I don't think it's going to be an issue. It looks like the same connector. It's just down low instead of up high. I think I'll have plenty of wire there to do that. It's just, you know, one of them things, but they look the same, so I'm gonna go for it. One more little thing before I stick this on there. This is the old starter and it's got a lot of oil on it. Now the engine's old, it's got a couple 100,000 miles on it. It's gonna have some oil leakage, but if you see a lot of oil and grease all over the starter, it's a good possibility that's what caused it to fail in the first place. So before you get too happy and just throw a starter around thinking everything's going to be okay, maybe a few months down the road it's going to happen again because it's soaked with the same whatever's leaking on it to begin with. So if you see that there's a whole lot of gook on the outside, look for what's causing that gook before you install your new starter and repair that as well. Before I get too far into this, I'm just going to take this nut off. Holds the battery cable on. Installation is pretty much going to be reverse of removal. Now, I've never known Chryslers to have any shims or anything, but keep an eye out for stuff like that. You never know when they're just gonna make it difficult on you. I'm just gonna run that in finger tight, and then I'm gonna run in my other bolt into the back finger tight before I tighten anything down. I want to do that so that I don't cross-thread stuff. Cross-threading stuff, well, it sucks. All right, that one's started. That one's good. Remember my tricky one? Haha. Now, I'm sad to report I don't have a torque spec for you, but you don't need to tighten it so tight it's either going to break the bolt or never come off again. Be reasonable. I think it'll be much easier to swing this arm up and attach it back to the block from under here. I'll probably tighten it from up top, but I can get my bolt started at least. I hope this isn't one of those situations where this is easier said than done. Well, at least we got it started. Now it's a matter of restoring those electrical connections. As I said, I didn't think it would be too much of an issue with this solenoid wire, and then I'm going to push the plastic back down to lock it down in. Looks a little flimsy there. If there's a lot of corrosion on this terminal, you might want to clean that up before you go any farther. And yes, I am reusing the old nut because I can. Because I think the new nut's a different size and I'd have to go grab a different tool, and I'm kind of lazy. Now this one you really don't want to tighten too tight. You just want to make sure that it's snug, because just like you saw it move a little bit there, you can actually bust the solenoid if you go too tight. So there, the car guy says not too tight. All right, now that's secure. That's secure. I'm going to reconnect the negative cable. Now, if this is dirty, clean it. But as you can see, someone, not myself, installed these new battery ends on here. So since they're brand new, they're brand new. Moment of truth. Yay! Now we got to worry about an exhaust leak. Told you it wasn't hard. Yeah, really, when it comes down to it, it's like 4 or 5 fasteners, and that's it. So the starter replacement on this Jeep is simple and straightforward. Probably the best tip I can give you is make sure you take that little support rod down out of the way. That'll give you a little bit more access. Compare your new part to your old. Make sure everything matches up. And that little plastic tab needs to be pulled back in order to disconnect the solenoid wire. And that's also the wire that you would test to see if you're getting a signal to the starter to determine whether or not it's bad. There'll be a link in the description for my starter diagnosis video. That way you can check that out before you get to this point. You might be able to save yourself some money. Could just be dirty battery terminals. Anyway, I am Eric the Car Guy. You can always visit me at EricTheCarGuy.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And around here I close with be safe, have fun. Of course, stay dirty. See you next time.